Hey, all you witches and beautiful spiritualists, it's me, Prosperity Witch Ellie, and let's talk about my favorite season, my favorite time of year. And yes, I'm probably gonna say that for every one of these kinds of videos that I make. However, this one is a little more genuine than not. Let's talk about the winter season, the winter solstice, Yule, all of it. Let's just talk about this time of year. So, fun fact before I really continue with this video, I am going to be using the two terms Yule and the winter solstice interchangeably. I'm very well aware that they are two different things, that they have their own different meanings, but I have always kind of used them interchangeably throughout my practice, which, fun fact by the way, this year, December 26th of this year marks my 13th year of practicing. Not that that has any special meaning, but you know, fun fact. Anyway, as usual, I'm going to be pulling from this book, Year of the Witch by Temperance, Alden, as well as my own personal experience from years past. And I do have notes because my ADHD brain, if I don't have notes, I will ramble on and get off topic, and this video will be something totally different. Blessed winter solstice, everybody. Happy Yule. If you don't celebrate those, if you celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, Happy Kwanzaa. I don't really know how they say Happy Kwanzaa, but Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Whatever you celebrate around this time of year, or if you don't celebrate, that's fine too. Just whatever you do around this time of year, I hope it is a joyous and wonderful time for you, because this time of year is very magical, at least for me. I have so many childhood memories of nothing but happiness, all based around this time of year. So what is the winter solstice? What is Yule? Yule celebrates the longest night and the returning of the sun, reminding us how darkness came before the light and the return of the sun to its full glory. It is a time of hope, renewal, rebirth, and rejoice. To quote from this book, the second dark harvest is marked by the same features as some of the brighter ones as well. Yule, a Germanic origin festival also known as the winter solstice, is the second spoke on the dark side of the modern wheel of the year. It is a rich and cultural folk holiday that has unique roots in nearly every culture. For me, around this time of year, it really represents a time for me to be more hermetic, a time for me to be more so a time for me to be in hermit mode, as I like to call it. Much like you'll see a lot of mammals around this time of year go into hibernation, get themselves kind of cozied up, keep to themselves, I relatively do the same thing. I mean, if you don't catch me in public, with my friends, with my family, doing God knows what, I am more than likely probably in my bedroom, like you see me recording this video here, keeping to myself, laying in my bed, getting under the blankets, getting cozy, watching a movie, drinking some tea or coffee, and just building up my energetic reservoir for the next year to come. Wow, that was so hard to say on one breath. Breathe, Ellie, breathe. So yes, while you have your more modern aspects of this time of year, which include gift giving, caroling, being with family and all that, for me, it really is more so of a time that I keep to myself. I go into my hermit mode and really kind of just get myself mentally prepared, as well as physically and somewhat spiritually, for the year to come. Playing on the more darker aspects of this time of year, this time to me is all about kind of really going inwards, reflecting on the things that I didn't really address throughout the past, seeing if there's anything that I need to let go of, seeing if there's anything that I need to improve on, and overall just making sure that I'm in a good and bright place for everything that's to come. Overall, winter, the winter solstice, Yule, all of it, to me, this time of year really just is magical. It's a time where not the entire world, but for the most part the world around me anyway, you can clearly see a change. You can clearly see everyone being in a more calm state, in a more peaceful state, in a more joyous state, if you will. It is a time of year where magic, in my opinion, truly is prominent. I mean, yeah, we had the fall equinox, we had Samhain, and we had, our ancestors talking to the dead, and, witches being more prevalent then. But this time of year, this is where magic in itself is more prevalent, at least to me. If you're lucky enough to live in an area where you can physically see the seasons changing, going from, luscious greens to now dark browns and then getting covered in snow. I live in Texas, I live in a part of Texas, I'll say it that way, where I don't really get to see a lot of snow. It does get cold, Ooh, it does get cold, but it doesn't really snow, at least not often. I think the last time I saw snow was maybe 2 or 3 years ago when Snowvid happened. If you don't know what that is, I encourage you to look it up. It was a time. And though I'm not lucky enough to see a constant change like that, where it goes from luscious greens to now whites and everyone's sleeping, everything is calm and, quiet, I am lucky enough to at least see enough of a change where I can look around and know that Bob next door to me went from working every day, slaving away at what he does for a living, to now he's at home with his family, smiling and just being with the people he loves. It's that more energetic shift, that more energetic change that to me really has an impact around this time of year. And that's why I really, really love the winter season. That's why I really love the winter solstice, because yeah, the darkest night of the year can bring out so much that we never really thought about, that we never really put our minds to, because we're so focused on everything and anything throughout the rest of the year that we are forced. Well, not forced, but we're more likely to, at least around this time of year, to really take a step back and be more analytical of ourselves and the world around us, and just know how truly blessed we are. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's what the winter solstice means to me. But of course, I'm sure you're not here to listen to me ramble on about what the winter solstice, what Yuletide, and all that means to me. I'm sure you're here to get little ideas, little tidbits, if you will, on how you can truly celebrate and acknowledge this time of year if it's something you're interested in. So, that being said, let's move on to that part of the video, shall we? It's kind of fun. I put together a really good list, so yeah, let's go. In no particular order, I did separate my list in 2 categories. The first category being not so witchy, anyone can do it, especially if you're in the broom closet kind of, that kind of vibe, to witchy, everyone knows what I do, everyone is aware of what I do, and so here I'm gonna do it. Anyway, that being said, let's talk about the more subtle and simple things you can do to acknowledge this time of year. Number 1 on my list, as usual, is to wear the colors of the season. This is more personal, but in my opinion, the colors of the season are reds, greens, blues, golds, silvers, anything that you really think can embody the aspect of winter itself. Like how I'm wearing blue and white right now with my little gold Apollo necklace. That is more or less me putting thought and acknowledgement to this time of year. Yes, I did burp. Moving on. But also, if you're coming from a more Christian background and you've celebrated Christmas, it'll be easy for you to transition into celebrating the winter solstice overall, into celebrating Yule, because fun fact, a lot of Christmas traditions were pulled from ancient pagan traditions. So, speaking of traditions, one of my favorite traditions that I started a little, I was about to say 2. I want to say actually it's 4 to 5 years ago now, that I've been constantly doing every year, is starting a bonfire. In my opinion, this is perfect for this time of year. It is the return of the sun, return of the solar energy, and hello, fire and sun. So, for example, every year around this time, I would always go down to Galveston, go down to Crystal Beach. That is the beach that they say is good and okay to start bonfires on with a group of friends. We'll all gather some firewood, some fire starters, things that you need, and start a bonfire and kind of just be together, enjoy the warmth of the fire while we're watching the waves crash, ebb and flow into the sand in front of us. Oh, it is a lovely time. But yeah, start a bonfire. What's even great about that is bonfires are really good for releasing ceremonies and cleansing rituals. And it wasn't last year, but if I remember correctly, it was the year before. I brought one of my friends to my tradition where I go to Galveston and start that bonfire, and she was going through some things, I'll put it that way, and I told her, hey, write down everything you're going through, write down everything that you want to release, and we will take care of it. Needless to say, I think she's better off now, but hey, at the time, it was very much an emotional and very spiritual kind of experience for her, and for us all, honestly. But you know what? That's the beauty of it, right? The magic of this time of year. So, we talked about it, right? How some ancient Yule traditions have leaked their way into the modern day Christmas celebration, modern day, celebrations. The next thing on my list should be very easy. decorate a tree. And in fact, let me just show you the tree that I decorated right now. Hi, howdy, hello. Ellie from the past here. So by now I probably mentioned something about a Yule tree and a Yule altar. I wanted to show you guys my setup. So, I know it's not the best of angles, but this is my Yule tree. Got the star and everything, all well pretty lit up. And if you look closely, you can see I have little candle lights alongside with the spherical ornaments and everything. And this is it in its full glory. I love this season, y'all. Y'all have no idea. As for my Yule altar, and ignore my messy couch, this is my Yule altar setup for this year. As you can see, I have the candles that represent each different aspect of the season itself. I have a lot of just winter-esque items, and most definitely my favorite part, all the deer imagery, because I grew up in an area where deer were very prevalent and very prominent, and deer to me just hold a very sacred place in my heart, especially around this time of year. And of course, it can't be a winter celebration, it can't be the acknowledgement of this time of year without being joyous and feeling grateful and giving. The next item on my list for ways you can definitely celebrate and acknowledge this time of year is giving gifts. Because as I said at the beginning of this video, this time of year really is about being with friends, being with family, surrounding yourself by the ones you love, and just knowing that you've been through a lot this year together, and hopefully you'll continue going through a lot next year together. Maybe not a lot. Let's hope that we don't go through so much. But y'all get what I'm trying to say. Okay? Now we're moving on to the more spiritual, the more like ooky spooky witchy aspect of this list. The first thing that I have for that section is spells. So, around this time of year, I like to say it is a good time to cast for prosperity, luck, and protection of the next year to come, in the next year to come, in the next year to come. In the topic of renewal and reflection and rejoice, it is a really good time for cleansings, cleansing out all the old, getting rid of everything that doesn't serve you anymore, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of it. Get like, push it all out, you know? One of my favorite traditions around this time of year is to create witches' balls, which, as you can see, it's more or less a glass ornament, a glass orb, and it's a spell. Traditionally, these were hung on windows to keep out evil spirits, prevent witchcraft, and really protect the home and the hearth for the next year to come. Mine, in particular, is going to bring in abundance, wealth, luck, and love in all aspects that I need it. Bless this home, keep it protected from the evil eye, keep it protected from all malice and ill will. Do I look like a beauty vlogger yet? But yeah, this is relatively what it looks like, just a nice little glass orb, or an ornament, if you will, filled with herbs, filled with, like, crystals, anything that I could stuff in here to, you know, cast the spell with, I did. That's another thing I really like about this time of year. For me, anyway, this time of year really challenges my arts and craft aspect of my witchcraft. I mean, other than the herbs, everything that you see right here, I got at Hobby Lobby. So yeah, spells. Another thing that you're probably gonna hear me say on repeat throughout all of my videos that deal with different parts of the seasons is create a altar dedicated to this time of year. I'm sure a few minutes ago you saw my Yule altar that I did. It's filled with a lot of deer imagery and symbolism. It's filled with the colors of the season, and it's just, for me, it's a way to bring in the Yuletide energy, the winter solstice energy into my home, and really make me feel like I am presently working with it, because I mean, I am. But it just feels nice having a dedicated space for it, you know? And finally, the last thing on my more spiritual aspect of this list is divination, specifically scrying and tarot. For those of you who don't know what scrying is, in its most simplest form, and this is the best way I can describe it, so forgive me. In its most simplest form, what scrying is using a physical and reflective object or medium to put you in a meditative and trance-like state in order to receive messages. And of course, tarot readings being cardiomancy, you know, using tarot cards to really reflect on your years past and seeing what this year holds for you potentially. So, one of my favorite stories around this time of year, you know how everyone has their favorite Christmas story or winter story? My favorite story is The Wild Hunt, which, if you don't know what the Wild Hunt story is, to summarize it to its best degree, I'm gonna pull from this book and read you a quote. In essence, the Wild Hunt was a processional horde of spirits, usually led by Odin, depending on what region you live in or what region you're hearing the story from. Could be Odin, could be any spirit, that roamed the night sky on the backs of their 8-legged steed, on the backs of their deer, horses, dogs even. In some versions of the myth, the horde would take up the souls of the sinners, and others they would pick up stray passersby and deposit them miles from where they were originally going. But anyways, I think I'm done rambling on. I've been rambling on according to my timer for a good hour and a half. So, all that being said, I hope it is a wonderful and blessed time of year for you. I hope that the magic that I always see around this time of year reigns true to you, and I hope you have just a joyful and wonderful end to the year 2024. As always, I love you all. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Make wise choices. Make delicious pizza. Bye-bye.